treated, the way that he was tased, the way that he was struck, and ultimately the way that he was murdered has to result in criminal prosecution. And so we stand on that as a firm as we continue to work on behalf and with this family. And this family continues to ask a very simple question. What about the Deacon? What about the Deacon? And that question will continue to resonate until we have an answer around the prosecution of this former officer and tow truck driver. I'd like for my law partner, Attorney Spence, to share any thoughts, and then you'll hear from any family member that would like to share as well. Attorney Spence.
Good afternoon. My name is Harold Spence, and we absolutely believe that criminal charges are warranted against both the police officer, the now terminated and disgraced police officer, and the still employed tow truck driver. Without criminal charges being levied against them, we don't believe that that would represent full justice. Full justice is not just the resolution of the 2 civil cases that we brought. Full justice will demand that these 2 individuals be criminally prosecuted. Because if you don't have full justice, in our view, what you have is injustice. And we don't want that for this family. We appreciate the Madam District Attorney meeting with us. We appreciate her accessibility. We appreciate her sense of accountability to this family. We further appreciate the fact that she brought her entire team and explained to us the role of each of these individuals in the investigation. So we're going to be trustful of their efforts, but we're going to make sure that we trust but verify what is going on. Thank you, and we appreciate having had the opportunity to meet with the DA today.
Are you all encouraged by the meeting, or was it more procedural and did it kind of fall flat?
We remain encouraged. I think what we heard was a commitment to do the due diligence, and I think it's important to put the meeting into some political context as well. What we know right now is that now more than ever, the judges, the appellate courts are looking to protect law enforcement. There is essentially a backlash in some way from what we saw happening in 2020 when there was a demand by the citizens of this country for accountability of police. But now we see the pendulum swinging in the opposite direction, and it's being pushed by those judges at the appellate level as well as even at the trial court level, who are giving protection to law enforcement officers in ways that we have not seen before. And so, with that being the context, we're clear that the district attorney, not just District Attorney Willis, but district attorneys around the state of Georgia and around the country who are attempting to prosecute police officers have to be very diligent in the cases that they put together and what they bring forward so that those cases stand. And so that is part of what we believe is going to take longer than what we hoped, but as long as it's done correctly, thoroughly, that's all this family can ask for, and that's what we're looking for. And I think that's why we are not discouraged that we do not have an answer just yet, because we do understand the political climate under which this case is being investigated, and hopefully it will be prosecuted.
DA Willis gave you guys a timeline on when she expects to make a decision, and what did she say to you, to the family especially?
She gave us no strict timeline. There is not one. There isn't. So the work is being done. It is going through their process. So it's a couple of stages. We know that the first stage, that the GBI's investigation has been completed because the video was released. Then we know the second stage is a group of lawyers who are not associated with her office that have to review it and sanitize it and make sure that there are no issues that could ultimately become an appellate issue. And then the third phase will be her team, the public integrity unit, actually getting the case and then making a determination as to whether or not to charge. So it is in phase 2, but the hope is that phase 2 will be over within the next 30 to 45 days. So that's what we were given some indication that phase 2 will be over in the next 30 to 45 days, and her public integrity unit will actually have the case and be able to start evaluating whether they need to interview more people and what their charging decision will be.
Do you have
anything
anything
regarding
the fact that you've done a lot of criminal cases? Have you seen something like this actually end with a police officer being criminally charged? And how confident do you think this can happen with you?
It's a great question. I think we have to, we've been doing this a long time. And if you look across the country, very, very rare, it's just rare that police are prosecuted. But we believe that we have to fight for it. We believe that the facts of this case warrant the prosecution. But when you look statistically, it's rare. It's not just in Atlanta, it's not just in Georgia, but across the country. And if you look even closer at the way the laws have been shaped, continually case law is shaping this area of the law and giving law enforcement protection that the ordinary citizen would never have. And it's, you know, at some point, the citizens have to say, enough is enough, right? Enough is enough. We just can't continue to protect people who aren't protecting the lives of citizens. We can't pay for our own executions.
But we were not deflated by this meeting. I just want to make clear that we were not deflated in the least. Several years ago, Fulton County convened a special purpose grand jury. That was about 5 years ago. The purpose of that grand jury was to look at alleged law enforcement misconduct. I did everything I could to get off of that grand jury, but ended up being on it and being the foreperson. So we actually looked at cases and returned indictments against a number of police officers. So we think that we see a commitment by this office to go after law enforcement where it is warranted. And we're talking about context. Let's be honest. We know that black prosecutors in this state are under assault by many of those under the Gold Dome. They want to curb the powers of these black prosecutors and chill their prosecutorial efforts. And based on the meeting that we had today, we don't think that that is working in this office, and we remain hopeful that District Attorney Willis and her team will follow through and do the right thing.
Was the video is clear. Can you talk about, it's clear what happened in the video. And do you feel like you said, with it being in this time that we're in right now, would charges be filed against this officer? What more evidence does the DA need that's not already presented in that video?
That's a question you'd have to ask her team. I know that they have other parts of the investigation that the GBI engaged in outside of the video, and they have at least one lawyer going through all of what the GBI did to make sure that there is no information contained when her team gets it that will be a problem, issue, because there are certain things that officers may say during the course of an interview that it would not be admissible in a criminal case. And so they do have to be careful about that, and we're clear about that. So,
do you have any sense if the GBI review fell in your favor?
We don't. The GBI is supposed to just be an investigatory body, and they are not supposed to make recommendations as to whether someone should be prosecuted or not. So we don't know. As far as we're concerned, they were just gathered all of the information and they provided it. And we're hopeful that if there are any issues that are unanswered, that District Attorney Willis's investigative team will follow up and do additional interviews. We know that they've done that in the past in some of the cases that we've had.
You talked a lot about the police officer involved, but you also mentioned the tow truck driver. Can you talk a little bit about his involvement is in all this and why you're seeking, you hope charges are filed against him as well?
One of the most inexplicable parts of all of this involves the entry of this tow truck driver into this encounter. He ended up being called to tow away a disabled vehicle. He sees the officer engaged with Deacon Hollman, and he inserts himself, and he goes, and by this time Deacon Hollman is on his stomach with his hands behind him. This guy gets on top of Deacon Hollman. He straddles his head and neck. And we know the unfortunate outcome, the tragic outcome, that Deacon Hollman ended up deceased. I can't think of a more clear-cut example of wrongdoing that for which there needs to be criminal accountability.
Yes. Come on over to Johnny. Come on up, Matika, Shanice.
Hi, my name is Anitra Hollman, ARNITRAHOLLMAN. On behalf of me and my family, we want to thank all of y'all for continuing to support us, for coming out, for being with us, for rallying around us. The meeting that we had today with DA Fani Willis, me personally, I'm optimistic and I'm hopeful. I've prayed about it. I've talked to God about it. I know charges going to be brought. I know we're going to see justice. That's my main focus. But I want to speak to the ones that makes the law, the lawmakers. You got to do better with making these laws. You got to do better with helping families like us get the prosecution that we need to see. You can't tie the prosecutor's hand and expect them to do a job to help these families, because it don't help us. We're heartbroken. This is our new normal. This is what we face every day. When they're sitting there making those laws, they got to think about these families. They got to think about the little people, because it affects us. It trickles down on us. Yes, DA Fani Willis, we feel like she's going to do what she said she's going to do. Yes, we feel like her team is going to do the investigation and do the work that they promised that they would do. But we also got to make sure that we are out here voting. We got to make sure that legislations are going in the right direction. We got to make sure that the lawmakers are looking out for us, because we are the ones that are hurting. We are the ones that are feeling the effect from this. We are the ones that are suffering because we don't have favor on our side when it comes to the law. And it's not right. Y'all making it easy and more easy for these officers to be protected while they are killing our loved ones, while they are taking our babies and our fathers and our sons and our daughters. Y'all are making it easy for them to do what they're doing to us, and nothing is being done about it. When is it gonna stop? When are y'all gonna get tired of this? When are people gonna start speaking out? We are tired. I'm in outrage. I'm hurting. I get to see this full hand in my face. How do you think that makes me feel every day? My brother, my sisters, them. How do you think that makes our family feel? Our father is gone. And it ain't nothing that we can do right now but fight, but pray, but stay in it. But we need y'all help. And I speak to each and every person that makes these laws, each and every person that sits behind or up under the gold dome. I speak to y'all. Stop making it hard for us as families. Stop making it hard for the prosecutors to prosecute these cases. It's not right. How do y'all keep giving these police officers this kind of protection? It's okay for them to go out and kill somebody, but we as citizens, we can't do that. Where our protection come in at? We're hurting. We're hurting. We don't feel good about this at all, but we're not gonna stop. Understand, we're not going to stop. We're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna keep knocking on doors. We're gonna keep knocking doors down. We're gonna stand firm because we believe that we're gonna get justice. We trust God, and we know even in this moment, we're gonna get victory, and it's gonna be served. My daddy will have justice. His name is not gonna go unnoticed. It's gonna ring in every household, every history book, every state, every country. Johnny Hollman Sr., y'all will continue to say his name. Y'all gonna see his face everywhere. As long as God keep breath in us, we're gonna keep going. This fight is gonna continue to go. And we're praying for all the other families. But y'all gotta remember, What about the deacon? What about the deacon? What about the deacon? What about the deacon? When will we see an arrest? What about the deacon? Have y'all forgot about the deacon? Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you all.